Too many ends. Too many ends.
Oh yeah, I just like bothering you. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm gonna keep asking.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the All In Show.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna miss his yeah. So we have back with us Mike Spears.
Yes.
And he's gonna introduce Adam here with us.
Yeah.
He's gonna introduce Adam. Absolutely. You just introduced him.
Oh, okay. Well, this
Cats out of the bag.
Right. This is my partner in life and then also in crime and also film, Adam.
We don't talk about the
Okay, right. I don't should tell you that.
I'm a Pisces.
Yeah!
He's a fighter.
Yeah! When's your birthday, Adam?
The 15th.
Okay.
For sure.
Happy early birthday to
Thank
you.
you.
Birthday, my boy.
If you seen his birthday episode, we bought confetti guns. Man, I was firing off confetti shots for hours. iPhone or Android?
Oh, definitely iPhone. Ever since the second one, I've been on.
Yeah,
I actually tried. I tried Android. I gave it a month.
A whole month.
I had an iPhone and purposely lost it.
He purposely lost it.
Yeah, that was the year I lost 7 phones in a row. Well, that's a whole other show. So, Mike, we do appreciate you telling us a little bit about, not a little bit about, but giving us the rundown,
Yeah.
the final draft and everything.
Right.
I cut the show early, and I should have asked you. So, what was the next step after final draft? What did you do?
Oh, okay. Well, appreciate that.
No worries, I apologize.
No, it's all good.
Nasty. It was a long shit on me.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So after final draft, I was in Atlanta for a little bit still, and I was living in a hotel for a while, and also staying at a friend's, which was actually my ex-roommate when I was in college.
Got it.
I was at his place too, so sort of just what's called couch hopping or something like that.
Yeah, couch
So
hopping,
yeah,
yeah.
so I was sort of doing that a little bit for a little bit, and then eventually I was just like, okay, this ain't working. I need to just go back home and reset.
Okay.
So I went back home and reset, went back to Hopkins, and yeah, I was obviously like down and probably hella depressed because
I remember.
this big thing just I had in my hands just kind of went away. And a part of me, like, from staying in that situation for so long was the fact that I kept thinking, like, I'm from Hopkins. People like me don't get these chances ever. So that's why I stayed so long, because part of me felt like I had to, or I didn't want to let people down that believed in me, right?
Right.
So anyway, went home, was all depressed and all that stuff for a while, and then eventually wanted to get out of there, because I was like, I'm still young. I still got it.
Right.
And I should definitely try, to do something. And I remember being in college, and one of my friends had dropped out of school to go and work on cruise ships. And he was telling me I should do the same at that time. But at that time I was far in college and I didn't want to leave school for cruise ships.
And you did graduate, because we didn't talk about you.
We did not talk about that. So I did graduate. We sort of did. I graduated because some of my siblings came down to Atlanta in the whole group thing or whatever. Okay. So I did graduate college in 2009. And I left the group in 2010. And again, came back to Hopkins, was there for some months, and then eventually started to look at other avenues where I could do something else, where I could still be an entertainer and work in music or whatever. But at this point, my confidence was hella low, because I went from being in that group and being told that, honestly, like, they picked me on a whim. Like, being told that they only picked me for certain little things, and my talent, wasn't great.
Limited,
It was limited. So I believed that, I really did. But when I went off the ships, I started to regain my confidence. And as regaining my confidence, I also started to regain my, my self-awareness of who I really am, and that I wasn't choir boy, but I was indeed Mike Spears.
Right, M. Spears.
I was indeed Mike Spears. So dealing with Dylan in the group had really it played a lot on my mental, of who I really was. And that's when I went off the ships. I eventually started to come to grips with my sexuality, one-on-one, as far as saying, this is who I am.
Right.
This is who I've been for the longest. And
Right.
what you seen at the time when I was in a group was a persona that, I was given a role to portray, and I portrayed that role as long as I could. And it wasn't, at that point it was done. And I needed to give up that facade. So I became a bit more of who I was, and then eventually got to the point of being like, I'm gay. Like, this is who I am. And if people don't like it, that's fine.
That's on them.
That's on them. I'm okay with me.
Yeah.
And once I came to grips with that, and cruise ships was the perfect space for me to do that, because I was now around a whole different type of lifestyle. Like people from all around the world I was working with, and seeing their different lifestyles. They don't believe in the same things I believe in. They are, believing in something. Some of them don't even believe in God. And that was the first time I ever met people that did not believe in God. And I was like, this is weird. But I mean, to me at that point, it was sort of weird to just be able to talk to people like that. But the thing about that is, I believe in God. But the thing about, them, I honestly feel like they were some of the nicest people I had ever met in life. Right. And it's just weird to me that you have people that don't believe in a higher power. However, they would seriously give their last to help somebody else. And I know people who are heavy in the church and won't give a dime or hardly any attention to somebody that they feel is beneath them.
Main devil.
If seriously. So I'm, so that sort of in a way changed my beliefs a bit too. To now I'm totally non-religious, or I don't really believe in religious institutions much at all.
I understand what you're saying.
But I believe in God. That's like it. Yeah. I believe in God. I don't believe in anything before, after, or between. God, that's it. I don't need the book. I don't need none of that. God. But yeah, so I did cruise ships for 7 years. As I did that, I eventually, worked my way through the ranks and became entertainment director at Holland American Line. And by this point, I was dating and all that stuff, and things just were seeming like, I was young. I was having fun. I was having fun. I was like, doing my thing. Yeah. And eventually I just wanted to, I had, a career where I was making decent money, and I just felt like I really want to, at this point, settle down. Like, I'm the type of person that I love relationships. I love being in a relationship. And I signed up for Match.com. And this is where I met Adam.
Shout out to Adam. Shout out to Match.com.
Right. And not to just breeze through my 7 years on cruise ships, but it was a great 7 years that I worked on ships. But I met Adam, and we met for the first time in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
That's dope.
Yeah, so he flew down to meet with me as I was in port that day while I was on ships. He came to meet with me, and we hit it off, and we've been together basically ever since.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's a story. Puerto Rico?
Spoken every day since then. And we've talked before about how we love to travel. That was our first meet was traveling.
Right.
Yeah. Not too many people could tell this story that way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too. That's another part of it. But with ships, I got a chance to see the world. It was great. I fucking loved it.
How did you deal with not being around your family? Because you're family oriented.
Right.
So on the sea, you can't really talk on the phone. You can't really.
Oh, no.
Plus, you're busy. You working all day.
You working all day, every day on cruise ships. Right. So that part was already tough. But the thing, I think, when I went to Atlanta, it was already kind of sort of been molding myself into not cutting ties with my family, but I was getting used to being away. Yeah. I was used to missing birthday parties or birthdays or celebrations. I began to be used to even missing Christmases. It was times I didn't come home for Christmas.
You was older by then.
I was older by that point too, so I wasn't expecting no many gifts anyway. So when I went to ships, it was difficult at times especially when you have these big world events happening around the world and you're away and the family's back at home because they're concerned about you. Yeah, they hear something was bombed or something like that. They're trying to get in touch with you. Where you at? Is that where you at? So that was very difficult to deal with sometimes. But I wouldn't stop or trade it for anything.
Man, that is what's up. Did you spend your own money while you were out at sea?
I did not. That was a great. Room and board taken care of. I was paid to travel. Even before I got to the ship, I was paid some, not my whole daily rate, but I was paid some as I'm traveling to the ship. Once I get to the ship, I'm paid daily, and yeah, I didn't have, I mean, you can buy stuff if you want to, because a lot of people spend their money going out in these different ports and buying all this fancy
so
stuff.
The ship docked.
Exactly. I'm not really big on like names and brands and shit like that. I really don't care. Like, I was more like, and I wasn't even like necessarily trying to save money. I just didn't have nothing I wanted. Like, so the money was
space was limited. Yeah.
Space was limited, and I mean, I can go to a port and just go to a nice restaurant, and it doesn't have to be like expensive nice. It can just be a nice atmosphere, and it could be. I spent $5 just sitting there for like 5 hours, you know, just chilling. So for me, spending my money, I really didn't spend a lot of money when I was out there. So a lot of money I was able to keep. So I was working and living for free and eating pretty damn good on the ship, because the ship, as an employee, when you work on the ship, some people think that we have to pay something or whatever. I was eating for free.
Right.
Like, I was living for free.
You were hungry between
anything you wanted. Right. I got room service for free, anything I wanted, like in my position at the time. Like it, I lived it up.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and then spend a dime
on the sea.
Right, exactly. And then spend a dime. Got paid to do it.
Okay, so Adam Baggs, the top 10 famous person in case you get the rockin' Adam. And we decide at that point, is that when you decide we're leaving the cruise ship?
So that's a good question, because it seems that way, but I had already started in my mind to wanted to venture off of ships anyway, sort of around that time. But meeting Adam definitely expedited that whole decision.
Shout out to Adam for bringing him back.
Yeah, right. That definitely expedited it, because I was thinking, like, at that point, before I met Adam, around the time we like met, I was thinking like, okay, I can give this like 2 years max, like 2 more years, because I can have time to figure out what I want to do next.
Right.
Because at that point, I made decent money. I was happy with what I made, and I was like, I've seen a lot of this stuff already. Like, I've been so many places, so it wasn't as exciting to me. Like, going to these new countries, or not new countries, but to these different countries, just saying like, oh yeah, I was here this last month, or I was here last year. So that wasn't exciting. And the life on board was fun, but it became kind of the same thing. Like, it became redundant. Like, you get on the ship, you meet all these people, you have a great time, you build a great rapport with these people, but eventually at some point you got to go home, and that party is over. So I kind of was like, I'm a little over that. I kind of want to settle down now and really get my life together. And when I met Adam, it was more like, oh, actually, I kind of feel like I want to.
Right on time.
Exactly, you're right on time, because I got about one more contract in me. So when we did meet, like when we met in Puerto Rico, I did one more contract, and he came at the end of that contract and met me in Rome, and then in Rome.
I joined in Barcelona.
You joined the bar. I'm sorry.
He corrected.
And we made our way to Rome.
Right, he's right. So I'm sorry. He joined in Barcelona. He joined the Barcelona, and then we went to Rome. Yeah, that's true.
And I paid for my flight, but it was a free cruise for me.
Yeah,
so.
Nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
And I was like, yeah, and because on ships it's kind of like this thing. If you tell people, "Oh, this is my last contract," it's kind of like a jinx. Like, if you say that means it's not your last contract. You're gonna be there for a minute. So I made sure I didn't say this was it for me, like, pretty much ever. So when I like officially quit, it was very a soft quit. It was more like they were offering me contracts, and I would just say, no, not right now. They offered me another one. Oh, no, not right now. And, they eventually stopped offering, but eventually now we're at 2020 and everything was shut down. So my name is even off the books. Exactly. So
they took your name off the books, huh?
I wouldn't say they took me off the books, but I feel like at that point they feel like, yeah, he probably ain't coming back.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So how do we get started with Good Enough? I know that you two worked on it together.
Yeah. I wrote Good Enough 2019. I started writing 2019. And it started off as a stage play. So I was writing a stage play, a stage musical, and we were going to put it on at this theater nearby. And I'm trying to think, make sure I get the story right. So this is 2019. I started writing. 2020 happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were in Colombia at this time.
During the pandemic.
Talk about people worrying about you while you're in somewhere else in the world.
Right. Yeah. So our plans for 2020, because 2020 just sounded like a cool year, right? So this is 2019. We're thinking this sounds like a cool year. We should do something cool. Right. So he has this idea to travel the world for a whole year, and we're going to do 4 locations. We're going to spend 3 months at each location. So I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And at this point, I already started writing good enough or whatever, but still thinking it's going to be a stage play. And 2020, we make all the plans or whatever. 2020 come, we fly down to Colombia on January 4th or something, 2020. We get there, everything is great for months, obviously. And then as we're there, and then March came, our friends came, our parents came, my mom came down and everything. It was great. When his parents flew back, they flew back a few days after my mom, several days after my mom. And that's when things started to get shut down. Yeah. So that's when we were like, oh, this thing, are they from, like, this is for real. This is happening.
Yeah.
So
it happened the same way here.
Yeah, like we were there. They were just like thinking, like, is this happening because we're here? Like, what's like? It just was weird, because we're away from the country, you know. Right. And then at this point, we're seeing the news, and we're seeing people like grabbing tissue, and we were like, what the heck is going on in the United States?
It's crazy
because there, none of that was happening.
I almost punched the old lady in the face over some tissue, but we don't. This is my talk.
I don't know more about that.
They handled it really well down there because
they really did.
I think they saw the craziness happening up here, and they were prepared for like toilet paper runs. So in the stores you would go in, they had like a pyramid of toilet paper at the entry. Like, don't worry, we got plenty. You know, kind of.
Most of the people had plenty. They just was buying it because they panicked.
Exactly.
And I didn't have any. That's the story.
So she almost got hit
in the face.
In the face, right?
She said I was going to grab that, and I turned and gave her that look. And as I cocked back, she was like, "You take it, okay?"
Right? Because I'm
cocked back at the old lady.
Because to be honest,
bro, I was gonna hit up
and not to
sonic boom.
Not to defend you, but I mean, older people normally have tissue. So I'm thinking she probably had plenty of tissue at home. She was just being greedy.
So I buy bulk, right? So when I get down to 3 or 4, I'm gonna buy tissue. I'm down to 3 or 4. I'm going to Walmart. It's like 2 of them there. I grabbed one, somebody else grabbed one, and the lady was like, "I was about to."
No, you weren't.
Right. Enough about me.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're 2020 down in Colombia. It's March. Everything's getting shut down. We were supposed to initially leave Colombia and then go to Madrid, right? But we're watching
Colombia and go to Spain. Okay.
But we're watching the news and everything is even worse in Madrid. Yeah. So we're like, let's not even chance it there because we may really get stuck over there.
Well, I mean, they kept canceling our flights.
They kept canceling that. You're right about that. We couldn't get out of it.
We had the flight booked way in advance because you had to have the exit flight from Colombia when you come in or whatever. Right. Yeah. So in January, we already had our flight, and then they canceled it, and we're like, oh, shucks, well, maybe we can rebook it. So we bought other tickets.
Right.
And then those got canceled. We're like, okay, I guess we're not going.
They stopped everything.
Yeah. So we were sort of like, I wouldn't say stranded, but we were like, we was there. Like we couldn't
have
just
to be
leave.
Anywhere, and where you planned on being wasn't ready. Got it.
Exactly. So we ended up being there until like May.
Okay.
But throughout that whole time, we had rented our place out. So we took everything, our furniture was gone. We put all in storage, and someone had actually a couple from Canada was renting our place from us.
Okay.
And that's why we were gone. However, because of all the shit that was happening, they couldn't even barely move in here because they couldn't get back into the state. So they're renting from us, but they're not even living here.
Right. Yeah.
So that was a whole, another thing. So then we finally was able to come home in May. We got back home. We stayed here for a few nights, and then because we had no furniture really, and then we were going to do a road trip. We just say, you know what? Because obviously all of our plans for 2020 to travel to all those different places was canceled. Let's do a road trip around the United States.
Okay.
We packed up the car, and away we went to out west.
Yeah.
And mind you, this is getting back to good enough. Sorry, I know I'm taking a scenic route. Sorry, guys. Damn. Shit, my bad. Right. Damn, I forgot what the hell I was talking about. Anyway.
So all the while he was
So
all the while he was still working on the script.
Yeah. See, I told y'all I talk a lot. If you give me comfortable, I talk a lot. I normally don't talk. But anyway, as we're traveling 2020, I'm still writing on Good Enough because I'm planning to, once things open back up, I'll put it on stages. And 2020 is over. Get to 2021. We're now working with the theater to put it on stage, but people not even vaccinated at this point. People still are dying from COVID, heavy at this point. So it didn't seem like things were going to work out with that theater that we're working with anyways. Plus, I was like willing to invest a lot of my savings into this, and our savings into this. And I felt like, well, what I'm going to invest, or what we're going to invest into this stage play, we could make it a film. And especially with my background, and now that I have my degree, an expensive degree, $200,000. But anyway, like now that I had my degree, I was just like, okay, maybe this is my calling to get back into what I know best, And the people we had already began hiring, because we began working on the soundtrack. I told you it's a musical. We began working on the soundtrack as it was a stage play. And we began hiring actors as if it was a stage play. Okay. Thankfully, when we said let's do a film, those same people that we hired already to do the stage play, they decided, yes, let's do it. Right, okay. But at this point, nobody still was vaccinated and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So it took time for me to rewrite the scripts because it was on stage to make it a film script now, and then to take some of the music and adapt it to the film, and that was Good Enough, how it pretty much happened. It was supposed to be on stage, but then we made it a film.
Adam, what was your role in the film?
I was executive producer.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know if we needed the executive part of it.
You can say the executive part.
We added the executive.
So you got to say, I like that, I don't like it, change it.
Yeah,
well, we're more than just business partners, so you have to be a little delicate about these things.
All right, change it.
Listen, I am like Erykah Badu. I'm an artist and I am sensitive about my shit. For real. You gotta be careful when you talk to me.
So how did y'all schedule the production process?
So initially we were going to schedule it in the course of a couple of months. Mm-hmm. But because one of the lead actors was starting to get booked in other things, we were like, well, let's try to get it in, that small space of time so we can get this thing done. Yeah. So when we planned it planned out to be 10 days that we're going to film for.
In 2 weeks, yeah, but
that was a long
time. We only had 2 days off in 2 weeks or something. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of the time when I told people it's gonna be we're gonna do this in 10 days or whatever, a lot of them were like, you sure? That's not gonna work. That's gonna be a lot. That's not gonna work. It's gonna be too much for you. Right. But I was persistent. And that's when
I know who you are. Right. You said 10 days, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna be a long 10 days.
It's gonna be a long 10 days. But again, this is
a long anonymous nights writing and singing till 4 or 5 in the morning paying off.
There you go. And then we this is when that little 18-year-old ambition come in. It's either now or never. And that's really what I felt. If you're going to do something with this music thing or this film thing, it's going to have to be now. Right. Because right now, all you're going to do is go and work a job. And that's going to be it. Yeah. Right. Because life is going to start to happen again. So I felt like this is my only chance to get this right. So 10 days, thankfully I had the people we had into this because they got it in. We did it in 10 days. And that's what's up. And
So what were your thoughts with the casting on the film?
With casting, I have a background in theater. So I was in a theater group in school and stuff, and I acted and directed. But film was definitely different. Yeah. I never really had any experience with that, so I didn't really know what to expect.
Well, you had a lot of power. I like that. I don't like that.
Right.
I did read the book. There's a Producer to Producer is like a very famous book that sort of talks about the business and every element of it and everything. And yeah, I mean, I like talking about the schedule. It had like guidance for how many days you should budget like per page or whatever. Right. And I'm like, we have this many pages and we're doing it in this many days. Like that's not what the book says. But I think, working on ships probably had an effect on he runs a tight ship. And we drew up schedules together and really stuck to it. And I mean, the casting, I feel like we just got super lucky with. I mean, we talked to everyone, interviewed everybody, but and the whole audition process. But like, yeah, really everyone was just super talented and super like team oriented and willing. We had a few long days or whatever, but they were all down for it. Like no one was trying to get out early or anything.
Yeah, it was, and I think and not to cut you off, but I think because it was around the time of like COVID and everything, and this is when people first started getting vaccinated, so people were started sort of coming out,
getting all comfortable.
Yeah. This is the first time they got comfortable, and then they had to go back in the house with masks and shit. But at that point,
they was always outside.
Oh yeah,
they just went in public places,
right? So they were excited to be working on something. I think at that point, so we got it really lucky in that space to.
Yeah, it was a lot of their first gig, and like especially the singing, because that was before some people were vaccinated. Still, whenever we had them, we bought an air filter and had like all sorts of precautions. I mean, they had guidance out there in terms of what you could do to make things safer whenever you're performing arts, and so we did all that stuff. And people were just like, it has been over a year since I had like a singing gig or something. So I think that a lot of that fed into the energy of the team too. That's definitely true.
Absolutely. And I say that because now we're casting another film and we're working on that, and I definitely see a different shift in mood of what happened?
Every episode I found him a new job.
He tried to give me a job.
What are the requirements? What are the requirements to be an and do you have any off-camera jobs?
Oh yeah, we do have crew. We do have crew. We are still looking for crew.
He is squad. I don't know if that transfers over to crew.
Shit, for sure. Yeah, what we
talking about? $200 a week was what you was getting paid. Well, what inflation it may be a little bit more. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good.
The shift in terms of like people aren't quite as hungry, and I mean there's more competition. Like you have to whenever you're booking people, it's not as wide open as it was in 2021.
Yeah, and I think people's attitude to it, like just even being on set and film, especially some of these actors that I feel like to humble themselves a little bit. Their attitude is a little different because
but you gotta say like a director
because they
I run it and you kind of do what I tell you. So I don't know why you were so stressed.
Hey, no, seriously,
do it
because
humble bitch, sit down.
Yeah, because the thing is, it could eventually. We don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. This thing could go back to us being back in the house. And then now you're going to be begging for roles again. Now you're going to be begging me, Mike, please write something for me to do it. And I feel like with some of the attitudes that I've picked up so far with casting this next film, people have gone back to that mindset of, I'm going to get it anyways. Like, you don't know what's going to happen.
There's a lot of work out here.
Exactly.
You're the only man in town who's writing scripts.
Right.
He top 10 where we from.
Yeah.
But no, we have a I think probably a better interviewing process at this point than we did the first time.
Oh yeah,
and probably more than most productions do too.
Yeah, that we learned
because a lot of it's like you audition and then you get like accepted, but like now you audition for us and like we'll actually do an interview, like a job interview kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
about. Just to get to know you and everything, and so
y'all on Indeed.
What's that?
He's trying to job.
We're not on Indeed, but we may be for these.
All In Show will happily help y'all with interviews.
Great.
Trust me, we approve of them. They're gonna be pretty good. You chased them all away.
They weren't good.
None of them were.
But no, I mean, there are. Yeah, I mean, like he's saying, you do interviews on people and you get like, it's just not the right vibe kind of thing.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I mean, for every role that we're looking for, we've had to. We've had multiple people that we thought like we could totally work with them, and had hard decisions. So it's there are some people out there with attitudes or whatever, but like it's definitely still people out there that we're excited to work with.
Oh yeah, the cast we have for this next one, I'm excited. I was excited for the last cast, but this one I'm excited for the dynamics and the difference in what we're shooting and filming this time.
So for Good Enough, did you write the script by yourself?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Adam did some editing, and he did like the
redlining.
Executive producer.
Right. There
Let
you
me
go.
check that. I don't like that. Let me check that. I like that.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, pretty much.
I like that.
And this
what inspired the script?
So and this is gonna probably sound a little cheesy, but this is really what happened. So I woke up from a nap one day in 2019, and I just finally got this feeling, like I just told you earlier, like it's either now or never. And I started to feel like, well, what is it do I want to do? Do I want to sing again? Do I want to write? Like, what am I trying to do? Like, and that's when I started thinking, well, I would love to write for stage. And in some way, not that I want to sing and get out there, because I really don't want to be an artist like that, but I still want to sing. I still want to write and produce and all that stuff. So in that, as I woke up from my nap, I just had this like, how you first wake up, you just have this feeling like, this aha feelings. And I just had this finally like, dude, if anybody knows entertainment, if anybody knows vocals, if anybody knows writing, if anybody knows all of that stuff, it is you. Finally, it is you. And I remember.
What made it click for you at that moment, or what you think?
I think it was like me finally getting tired of myself being in my way. Finally, me saying to myself, "You're good enough."
Yeah.
Stop thinking that you have to appease these gatekeepers. Be the gatekeeper, if anything.
Be the gatekeeper.
And that's when I started to think, like, that's true. Like, if anybody knows, I was the entertainment director on a cruise ship. Like, if anybody knows this stuff, it's me. Why am I looking for other people to tell me that this is okay when I know it's okay? Like,
only the executive producer.
Right. Exactly. No, exactly. Why? Exactly. And so once I had the aha moment, that's what it really just came to. And the title came first, like Good Enough. Because I felt like you're good enough. And if I write something, I want it to be called Good Enough. But how can I write it and make a story that's going to be easy for me to write, that's close to home a bit? So it was a little bit about like my life, a little bit, because obviously in the loosely based. There you go. Obviously, I was never athletic. You know what I mean? So and the story is about a star player of a basketball team. I'm not athletic, but I did that purposely because I did not want to write.
The Mike Spears story.
I didn't want to write Mike Spears' story. I didn't want that. I wanted something fresh I can research and learn myself. Yeah. And obviously, in the story, there's an interracial couple. We're an interracial couple, and they're gay. Okay. And we're gay. Loosely based,
Makes sense.
We can only write about what we know.
Exactly. You had to write what you know, and I feel like I seen Tyler Perry do a interview, and he said that same thing. Write what you know. Like, don't try to write this other worldly stuff, like, not crazy stuff, but just stuff that's twisted or whatever. Just write what you know. Your story is interesting enough. And that's what I was pretty much doing. And when you watch this film, a lot of the scenes in the film are true to life, to some things that happened in my life, but it's not necessarily true to the character of who I am or who the people are.
For sure. So Adam, because you were the executive producer, I like that. I don't like that. He thinks that. Right? We have an executive producer, by the way. It's his mother.
Yeah. Okay. All right, mom. Shout out to moms.
Right. My mom's got a job. She don't know it yet. I tell her mom's that. Yeah. So how did you guys handle the creative differences on set? Obviously, you had final word, but
on set.
Yeah, on set.
On set. He ran the show. Like at that point, it was pretty much. I mean, he might ask my opinion on like something.
Well,
or
it
whatever.
may have been actors, or it may have been crew members. I mean, just in general, how did you guys handle the creative differences?
Yeah, that honestly, it was a good learning experience for us as a couple. I would say.
Yeah,
it really was.
Because like the editing of the script, that was. I mean, this really was his baby. Like he'd been spending over a year on it. Like.
Did you take anything out? He was like, "No, don't get rid of that, no!" And then he had to talk through it.
In post, we had some of that going on.
Yeah,
we cut a couple songs, which is pretty
we
big.
had to cut.
That's his feelings.
Yeah, it did.
I'm still hurt by them damn songs.
I totally recognize a lot of work went into those,
right?
But.
That's Joe Jackson in them songs. Jackson 5.
Right.
You got to have all 5.
I got to have all them songs. But he's absolutely right. It helps us learn a lot about each other and how to work together as a couple and to understand having respect for somebody's vision and knowing that, it's not your vision and that's okay for him to have a vision that's totally different than mine. It's not that he's saying my vision sucks and I'm untalented.
I just see a different angle.
I just see a different that you don't see. Exactly. And at the time, thankfully,
all in show. You
taking the back way, I'm taking
right.
That's all it is.
Right. And then and through that process too, I would just add this part. We were in counseling too at some of this point. So whenever we would talk to our therapists or whatever,
we would talk about the film.
We'll bring up the film. And that would be
the therapist. That's how I'm on set.
Listen. That would be
therapist. She need a shout out. Shout out to the therapist.
Shout out to Farrah. She got us together.
She was like, and by the way, I really think you guys should add.
Right, for real. Yeah.
Did that work for you?
Oh yeah, I believe so. It worked for us as a couple, but also even when I had like my one-on-one sessions for therapists, it worked for me. And I feel like that's something maybe we could bring that up for if y'all mind. Like as far as therapy. I know we say this a lot now that therapy is not popular in the Black community. And that's very true. That's because we go to other ways to try to solve our problems, to cope, For me, my experience with therapy has been all positive. I've learned so many things that I did not know that I knew about myself that I'm like, damn, I need to change that. I need to just change the way I'm thinking about it. Because somewhere in there, we learn these different ways to cope or to survive in the Black community. Mm-hmm. And we then take it out on the world or people that's closest to us. And we don't even realize we're doing it. We just feel like, oh, that's just...
used to be in a survival mode.
Exactly. Because we're all about survival. So we feel like if anybody says something or for instance, if he had a different idea than me, and it seemed like it was going to go his way in certain things. Right. I would, at first, years ago, whatever. When this was happening, right? Yeah, when it was happening, I was probably getting offended because I felt like he was trying to maybe take something from me. Mm-hmm. He was trying to take, I
got to be in control of me.
I got right, and then what therapy helped me realize, and is just that. No, people just have a different viewpoint. Why is everybody always got to be against you? It's not always about you. People just want to express themselves too.
There's answer 1A, answer 1B, answer
right.
1C. They all one. It's just a different part.
Yeah. So, and I would tell anybody and just for different reasons, therapy, professional therapy helps. I mean, talking to anybody definitely helps. But when you can really talk to a professional that sort of knows how to navigate that maze of a brain that we have, right? That's even better because sometimes when you go to a friend, they're just going to ask, "Oh, so what happened?" And a lot of times our friends will just take our side just because it's easiest.
So the All In Show, we do offer therapy, right? 30-minute sessions. For the first 20 minutes, you come talk to me, and I'll bore you with you. Real good. The last 10 minutes, we send you over to my boy.
And you roast him?
No. Hit it. The last 10 minutes, what you gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna go in here. It's up. Going on see him.
Right.
Now what you gonna do? He talk to you.
Yeah.
Now what you gonna do?
Exactly.
We gotta figure out something.
Right.
$30. 30-minute sessions. That's it.
Yeah, I know you're joking. But yeah, it's true. Like we for $40. And the thing about it, I do feel like therapy. A lot of reasons now people are just saying like maybe that's not for me because it's so expensive.
I absolutely want to go to therapy. I absolutely refuse to pay most of the amount that I run into for therapy. The health insurance that I have through my job, is not the best health insurance. It's a high deductible health plan, so I can't even get a discount on most of those. But I agree with therapy.
Well, we spoke on therapy. Shout out to the Chris episode. We spoke on therapy and all that, and I got a different approach on it because I can get therapy for free. I always thought that therapy was somebody telling you something you already know. And some people have to get to a low for somebody else to be like, bro, you gotta do this. Or try to get you to realize you gotta do this. Some people are able to think like that on a normal day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like everybody didn't need it or everybody shouldn't have to be pushed to go. So I'm in limbo with that.
Yeah, that's a big step just to be there for you.
Yeah, man,
that's huge.
I never really thought about it.
I'm proud of you, bro. That's a growth.
Well, and you hear everybody talking about it, so it can't be that bad to go.
Because I was sort of the same way. Honestly, I was like, "Nah, man, we don't do therapy." Like, I'm good. Because I was like,
I gotta tell my brother, like, therapy.
Right? Like, man, like everybody else crazy. I ain't crazy. Like, I ain't crazy. I don't need therapy. But really, it helped me a lot to just realize, like, and it's not them telling you about yourself or telling you things you may know. It's really them just helping you navigate through all the stuff that you, number one, been through, but how you are processing what you're going through now and how you got to that space. Because a lot of times when you figure out how you got to that space, it can help you heal because then you'll probably be realizing, damn, that was actually all me. I made that shit up. Because sometimes a lot of our traumas that we think that we still carry, we made that shit up ourselves.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah, we make all that. Well, not make all of it, but a lot of things we make up. We could sit and try to predict a situation. Like if you was going out with somebody and they didn't answer the phone, immediately you start thinking, oh, so you got beef with me? Oh, what's up? Yeah. You start making up scenarios on why they not answering. They probably looking at the phone as I'm calling them. You start making up shit that's going on, but not realizing that person probably was just in the shower or something. Yeah.
Oh, like, you sleep.
Oh, right.
Then they call you back and all that shit just wash away and you be straight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And they be straight. But for some people,
They don't.
They'll pretend they good, but in the back of their mind thinking, oh, but where you was just at 5 minutes ago when I was calling you. But they're not going to never tell you that at that moment. They're just going to be thinking it. And then eventually builds up. Yeah. And then it builds up. Yeah. And then it builds up. And now you really suspicious when you don't have a reason to be suspicious. It just started because somebody didn't answer their phone because they was in the shower. Right. But yeah, so I was just going to say, give it a try.
Yeah. And I will say, if, you can be a person who's pretty self-aware and like all that kind of stuff, but like, having that time set on the calendar, because like in a given week, like you have your job, you got stuff you got to do. Mm-hmm. Do you actually set aside like an hour, every week, really or even every 2 weeks, even every month? Do you set aside really an hour to just think about yourself and like review mindfully the month, kind of thing. So I think even especially for couples, like because that can be hard, and it's good to have a referee or whatever,
it's hard
a facilitator.
Time to have couple time. Let alone,
right. We're gonna have a serious talk time.
Vulnerable enough to be like, hey, I have an issue when I'm not a fan of,
right?
Because that's actually a red flag. I'm not a red flag, but a defense for most of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got an issue, right?
Those are difficult conversations.
You should tell me about this issue.
Exactly.
You had the issue 10 days ago. You should have told me 10 days ago. Different strokes though, bro. But so when you go to therapy, they tell you there are two types of people. There are people who are like me. I need to address it right now. Yeah. Because it's going to eat at me. It's going to eat at me. It's going to eat at me. If we don't get it now, woo.
Right.
But then you got other people like him. Look, I need a minute to process it, think about it.
Get the fuck out of my face.
You know what I'm saying? So,
at least a
day.
It's at least a day.
At least a day. Just let me get myself together, man.
So Adam, you have now officially had your first executive producer role.
EP.
Shout out.
Yeah.
what advice do you have for aspiring executive producers?
Like myself.
Yeah. I mean,
We got to start slow. We got to get you to what?
I'm best boy. You
Best
my
boy.
best boy.
Best boy.
Man, look. I'm
So, say what bring $200?
Man, look.
yeah, no, I mean, if you want to be a producer, I highly recommend the book Producer to Producer.
Okay. Shout out to the book.
Yeah, I mean, it really...
Producer to producer.
Mm-hmm. It's by, if you remember, it was a documentary, Man on Wire, that was about like the guy that did the high rise. I think it was between the two Twin Towers.
Yeah.
And she did a documentary, it was like Oscar winning everything. She's the one that actually wrote the book. And it's also interesting that a woman wrote it because they're underrepresented as producers.
This is true.
But yeah, she's maybe for being a woman more empathetic and thinking about other people and actually wrote a book, that's very useful for everybody else. Yeah. So that really gives you sort of the gamut of all the skills that you really need in the process and what your involvement should be like at each step. And it was like the producer Bible, I would say. So that is super handy.
With an elephant on the front.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, right here.
He's about to buy
33.49. Yeah, right now. For sure.
So yeah, highly recommend that. And then, yeah, I mean, you just need to link up with someone talented, some talent.
I'm here.
And yeah, find some money.
Same question to you, but from the director-writer role.
Advice, I would say that as a director or even a writer, you have to be okay with looking crazy and sounding crazy. Mm-hmm. And that for the longest, I did not want to look crazy, sound crazy, especially, coming from my background. Like, I just wanted to look like I had it together. Mm-hmm. But what I learned is you have to be vulnerable. Who you are is going to show up eventually. So you have to meet yourself where you are and just present your best self. And believe in yourself. And I know people say that all the time. Believe in yourself, believe in yourself, believe in yourself. But it takes so much to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself so much that almost the same belief you have in God, it got to be that same, up to that same status of energy. Because if I ever took a moment to start to doubt myself, it would have never worked. Right. You got to believe it so bad that all you can see is this happening. Like when I did the movie, like again, people thought I was crazy for like 10 days or even doing the whole thing. They're like, why would you do a feature film and it's a musical? You never did a film before. You should do a short film first. Like I got so many people telling me that. And I was like, but I see this. Right. This is what I see. I understand why you would feel that way. And maybe in your life, you don't see that happening. Right. But I would start to believe that thing more than I believed that I was alive. Like it had, to me, that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you just got to really believe it more than other people. And another thing I would tell people is as artists, stop sharing your work until it's complete, until it's done. Because a lot of times people share a little bit and then they'll let somebody hear or let somebody in on what they're doing. And somebody may not react to them as they think. They want everybody to be as excited as they are about it, but they may not be. And they might just be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's okay. And they'll take that as a sign, like they'll get discouraged, like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do this then. Mm-hmm. Like, no, wait till it's complete so we can give people the complete picture of what you're talking about.
That makes perfect sense.
So,
it definitely does.
I don't know if you'll like this analogy, but I call that the Steve Jobs approach, where, you just have this vision for something like a product or whatever, like an Apple product. And I don't know Android world.
Great answer. He only talking about nonsense.
But you gotta have this. You gotta have your vision, and people are gonna be like, "Well, that's like an iPhone." Like before there were iPhones, like to have that idea and to bring people along to make that happen. Yeah. But also, I mean, a lot of that happens. Like that's a private vision. Like Apple's, famous for their security or whatever, privacy. And so they work on it, and then there's a big unveiling, at that point. Like maybe you have a tight-knit team that's been working on it. Right. But yeah, not expanding it too wide. And then wowing the world with, hey, it's actually possible, and this is how it all fits together.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Do we have any crew members we want to give a shout out to?
All of them. We had a very small crew, so it was only a couple of.
I mean, there were
it was me, Adam,
Tony.
I want to give a shout out to
Tony,
and Erica.
And Erica.
Yeah. And we'll give a shout out to Brian, our good friend Brian. He came and helped us out on a couple of days.
Shout out to a good friend, Brian.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bro Dusty getting another job.
Already.
Every episode. I appreciate y'all helping me keep my streak going. Which is more stressful, post or pre-production?
Pre-production, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like casting is stressful. Mm-hmm. Hold on, writing could be stressful.
That's considered pre, right?
Oh yeah. That's writing. Number one is stressful because you have to stay on yourself. You have to be your own motivator to finish these things. So writing and then casting is hard because it's hard to find people to hopefully complete your vision, and finding locations to film, especially when you're an independent company.
Where did you guys locate? I mean, where did you guys film at? What location?
We filmed most of the B-roll in Kankakee. So we filmed at KCC, and we used that as
Kankakee, Illinois University.
Yeah, there we go. So we made KIU, obviously. So that's the college in the film. But we end up so we start pulling in our people we knew. Our good friend Bill lives up the street. He allowed us to use his home to film most of Jamal's basement and also the top tier of his house. We have another friend, Gabe and Neil. We filmed Trevor's home there. We actually used our bedroom as Trevor's bedroom. Okay. And we just made it look like it was at the other house, but it wasn't. So when y'all watch this, y'all see the film, hopefully, and you will see like that actually wasn't, his room was not in that house. It was actually here. Okay. And then we filmed at the basketball court was actually at a company I used to work for here in Chicago in 2019, before 2020, before we left. They knew I was doing a film, and they was like, hey, we have buildings all around the city. If we could help you in any way, let us know. And I was like, well, hell, I'm looking for a basketball court, and I know y'all got one. Right. So it's all yours. Let us know when you need it. So it just
basketball court, locker room, even an apartment, like the characters.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Use.
We filmed there a few days, and it just all magically sort of worked out. And that's the thing, when you're like at this level of being independent, you really have to, again, believe in yourself and like utilize your resources and connections, let them know that you're passionate, that you really want to do it.
Speaking of connections, do you have a distribution deal lined up for your film?
We do. So the thing is, Spoltz Productions, which is our company, which is Spears and Boltz.
Spoltz.
Spears, Boltz.
Yeah. Nice. So Spoltz Productions, we pretty much are distributing independently. However, we do have things lined up for the film to get out. So we do have Amazon. Which will be out on March 15th. Mm-hmm. But we also have another platform which we're going to be announcing soon.
I don't know.
It'll be out. Right, exactly. It's okay. So it'll be out there too soon. And so we are, and this is the thing, and that's another thing I want to tell people, like, it's okay to do it on your own too. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay. Again, you don't have to wait for those gatekeepers to let you in or tell you you're good enough to come on in. Like, no, do it yourself.
Get it. For sure. Okay. So look, this is for both of you.
Okay.
Y'all ready? Okay. If we ask you to write a comedy based off the start of the All-In show, right? So you don't have to know how it started. It's based off the start of our show, how it all came together, right? Giving you a Hollywood A-list budget. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Who would you cast to have playing a role in the movie that you wrote? Oh, nope, I jumped. Sorry. It got deleted. Who would you have cast to play Bro Dusty?
Lord.
Me! Shit. Start with you. No,
I would say...
right.
I would say JB Smooth.
JB Smooth.
Oh, that's
JB
good.
Smooth. JB Smooth is funny. He's funny. JB Smooth is freaking funny.
I also have to make sure y'all know that y'all are also in the movie now because you own the show, so you will have roles in the movie, right?
Okay.
Who would you have cast as me?
Ooh.
You can say yours too. I'm not offended.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
I gotta find you. Hold on, I gotta see. I gotta pick.
What
up
about
your
like
aura.
a young Sinbad?
There you go. I can see the young Sinbad. That's a good one. That's a good one. I can. Yeah, I like that one.
Who plays Adam?
Oh man,
Adam can't tell us.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of that. I think he plays on Veep or something. No, Arrested Development.
Is it Tony Hale?
I don't think so.
The one that plays the. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a.
Does he have short hair and feet?
Yeah, he's like the geeky guy.
Yeah, that's probably
That's
probably what I'm thinking about.
Right.
Now, Adam, who plays Mike?
Oof, boy, yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, Mike. I'm gonna cast you with Denzel. How about that?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I said, oh shit. Okay. No, I'll take it.
I just saw
What
Fences.
was the draft? What was the first name of that group?
Oh, the music group, Final Draft.
Final Draft. Final Draft didn't land on us. We landed on Final Draft. All right, so I don't know how I mixed that up, but I've been pressing a lot of buttons over here. So, you got a play in Kankakee called Good Enough. I'm sorry, you have a movie about to play in Kankakee. That's what that originally said.
Yeah.
Called Good Enough. Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask him first, bro. I know you said earlier you changed it from a stage play to a film. Was that hard to do?
Oh yeah, because it was hard because on stage I envisioned how we were going to just set the stage and do all these things and how the character's going to react, and making a film changed the storyline because I'm thinking like, yeah, that probably won't work on in a film that way, and
some things need more detail.
some things need more. Exactly, it was definitely that. Like some things needed it, some things didn't, and some of the characters were more flamboyant in the play. And I definitely toned them down a lot in the film because I felt like it'd be a little more intimate now, so they don't need to be so big in personality.
So stage play is more of an expressional type of
Yeah,
thing.
Exactly.
You could say maybe surreal and exagerated and those sorts of things. Whereas film, you're close up on people and it's, by definition, a bit more realistic.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm with it. So, yeah, when we playing, you wrote and directed, and it's going to be playing in Kankakee. Good Enough. What was the movie rated again?
PG-13. That's our rating.
Yeah, it's
not officially rated.
Yeah.
When people know, so if you see,
not by the MPAA.
Exactly. That's my rating. I definitely believe is good for kids that are teens.
And Adam, when is it playing?
It's playing the 19th of March. Yep.
Got it. Okay. What time?
I think 7
p.m. Doors open at 6:30.
6:30. Yeah.
Oh,
doors
6:30.
open. Yep.
Where can tickets be bought?
On the Eventbrite, Mike.
Look at you. Yes, the question for you. I'm just looking at it.
That's that Paramount too, ain't it?
And where can
It's
you both
at the
be
Paramount, yeah.
Where can you both be found on social media?
Oh, I'm just at Adam Boltz.
I'm just Adam, bro.
Just have Boltz everywhere.
Yeah, and
all okay.
Yeah.
it's
I found
serious.
you.
Might be facebook.com/Boltz even.
Got it.
Yeah.
I
That's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
With the quickness, nigga.
I found real quick.
Oh, yeah, man.
Hey,
Glad your fingers still work.
Right.
and where can you be found, sir?
It's Mike Spears. ITS Mike Spears.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of that.
Yeah. I'm not really on Twitter like that, but I have it still connected to the Twitter thing, but I really don't be on Twitter like that. But
You on
Instagram. LinkedIn, I am on LinkedIn. I believe it is. It's Mike Spears on LinkedIn too.
For sure.
Where can you find the All In Show?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Type it in the search bar wherever you can listen or watch something.
Right.
All in, so we there.
We were number one in like 3 or 4 countries for a while, and Europe.
Okay.
Since falling off a little bit,
Yeah,
but we got top 10 in the building.
All right.
Executive producer, so we back. All In Show. Yeah, we'll be right back.